Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Central Europe. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day, being productive, staying healthy. Hi Eldor, hi Navjot, Putavala, Salim, Kaur. Good to see you all. Anna, welcome members. Nice to see you in the class. We are looking at IELTS, the reading section, band 9, literacy. Literacy means reading, fluency, comprehension as well. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS success, visit us there. For general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots and lots of materials to help you succeed on your next exam, with practice exams, lesson videos, a fully interactive course, works on your mobile. We have mobile apps, and it's a one-time payment for lifetime access. This is our academic website here with the blue background. You just click that big red button, pay a few dollars, and then you can access the course as long as you like. General IELTS, it's the same idea. It's the green background. Hit that big red button to join us there. Welcome, Andre, Sammy, Prashita, Carolina. Good to see more of our members and our moderator. Very nice. If anybody has questions, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. I will gladly answer your inquiries. Hi, Prathamesh. Very nice to have you in the class. All right, everyone. Right now we have some reading, and then tomorrow we'll have the task 2 finish and task 1 graphs. All right. This reading is coming from our second exam book, and it is reading passage 1 from exam number 5. The title of this passage is, "Why do tortoises live so long?" It's a question. Question titles are nice because you know that the passage will seek to answer that question. Okay? All right. So why do tortoises live so long? Okay. Sharab, if you've sent me an email, I will certainly check it out. All right. So why do tortoises live so long? Before you start reading, you should, first of all, visualize this beautiful beast living in its natural habitat. And you should think about this question and think about the answer on your own. So if I bumped into you on the street and I said, hey, Sarab, why do they live so long? Sarab says, because it's natural. And I'd be like, what do you mean, Sarab, about nature? How does that help them live so long? I don't understand. So why do tortoises live so long? Sandeep says, because of its shape and structure. It's not a structure when we're talking about animals. What is it called? When we talk about animals, we don't say structures. Structures for buildings. What's the correct vocabulary for animals? So, why do tortoises live so long? Okay, because of its, we don't say strong body, we say anatomy. Okay, use the correct vocabulary whenever possible. Anna says because they eat healthy food. Of course, they're vegetarians. They eat healthy foods. Okay, they have a healthy diet. Why not? Sure. It's possible. Vishnu says because they are lazy. Yeah, they don't stress much, right, Vishnu? They are lazy. Yeah, they don't look like they're stressing out all the time, that's for sure. Stress is a killer. All right, Rashika says no predators. Yeah, that's definitely possible. Alpha says because of genetics. Zokir says low metabolic rate. Okay, very nice. So we've got lots of good answers, and that's what you want to do. Now, we would want to ask another question. So the question is, what is the reason that they live so long? What's the next question that you should ask yourself before you start reading or before you look at any of the questions? Alpha is saying because of its shell. Yeah, it's good for protection, no doubt. Okay, so what's the next question? Vishnu, very, very good. Vishnu says, why is it important? So the full question here, Vishnu, would be like, why is it important to live so long? What do you think? So what would the tortoise tell you? Why does the tortoise need to live so long? Yeah, me here. Very good. Why is it important to live such a long, long life? Okay. Very good. Why is it needed? It's not needed for evolution so much, Akash. I get what you're saying. Alpha says maybe the life cycle. Sandeep says they move very slowly, so it's going to take them a lot of time to get from A to B. Maybe. What's the ultimate goal of nature? Vishnu says to maintain the food chain. Okay, sure, maybe. Yeah, very good. Carolina says to preserve generations. For reproduction and survival, I would say. Yeah. Yeah, for Hung says because they move so slow, so they need a long time to get from A to B. Yeah, it could be too, because of slow movement. Okay. Slugs move really slowly, but they don't maybe need to live as long as turtles, right? Okay, good. How? So how does this all work? Okay, so I would ask one more question here. And I would say, how does this all work? Well, a tortoise lives for a couple hundred years, not years, and may have a few offspring each year. Okay. Yeah, that's possible. Okay. All right. So those are all some good thoughts. You should be thinking that very, very quickly before you continue reading. The more you do this, the better you will comprehend for sure. Okay. All right. So the next step is to take a look at the questions. Okay. And this question is a favorite for the IELTS exam because this question doesn't really allow students to skim or scan. If you're skimming or scanning for this type of question, you're using more time than if you're just reading. Does anybody know why? So this question is which paragraph contains the following information? So here you have to match this sentence with the correct paragraph. If you're just skimming or scanning to try to find answers without reading the passage, you will likely spend more time on this passage than you would if you just read the passage. So why is that? Well, Alpha Forest says because this question is not in order. You're right, Alpha Forest. So number one could be at the very end of the passage, which means that you're skim reading the entire passage to maybe find number one. And then when you get to number two, because you haven't read the passage, so you don't really know what it's about, you start from the beginning again. So with this kind of question, if you're skimming and scanning and hoping to get them correct, you could be scanning the passage like 5 times over. It's just faster to read it once then to scan it 5 times. Okay. All right. So this question is good to review before the passage because all of the content is in the passage. Now, these questions, like the other questions, are paraphrased. So one practice that you want to do at home when you're preparing for your IELTS exam is to paraphrase these. Okay? So, factors that lower tortoises' life expectancy. How can I paraphrase that? So, what's another way to say this information? Factors that lower tortoises' life expectancy. Paraphrasing means to say the same information in a different way. You can do that in several ways. You can use antonyms with negatives, like stay, don't go. You can use descriptives like it's round, it's red, it's delicious, it's a fruit. We give it to teachers. Okay, it's an apple. You can use synonyms, right? Tall, high. Okay. Kashirsha says, reasons that decrease tortoises' life expectancy. Reasons that decrease tortoises' life expectancy. Yeah, okay, even life expectancy. Kashirsha, I bet you can paraphrase if you just give it another second. Tanya says, dangers that tortoises can face. Ois says, some factors that can affect their life circle. Not life circle, but there is another word, Ois. All right. Mihir says, what can harm the long life of tortoises? Yeah, okay. Mihir, it's usually not the best to change it into a question, so keep it a statement, but good try. Sammy says, reasons that reduce the tortoise's living time. Imagination. Very good, Sammy. Okay. Rashika says, proven information that lessens their life cycle. Okay. Vishnu says, aspects that affect the tortoise's longevity. Very good. Longevity is absolutely a nice way to paraphrase life expectancy. And if you look a little bit lower, you'll see lifespan as well. So life expectancy, lifespan, longevity. Those are all synonyms. Okay. So very nice. Okay. Aldor says aspects that diminishes tortoises' life expectancy. Sure. So any one of those are good. Okay. So the idea here is that you want to paraphrase. So variables which decrease tortoises' lifespans. Okay, so that would be another way to say that. The reason why is because, again, if you're skimming or scanning or searching for this, you probably won't find it. You need to just find the information. Okay, and here, if you're really quick and clever, you might also be thinking of the possible answers. So a paragraph that talks about predators, maybe humans, maybe toxins or poisons that affect the tortoise's life expectancy. So even thinking about the answers to that could give you a hint on what you could be looking for. Okay. All right. Tortoises being used as a food source. What's another way to say that? So what's another way to say tortoises being used as a food source? Okay. Tell me another way to say that. Sandeep says tortoise used as food. People consuming tortoises. Okay. Yeah. Pratik, served as a meal. I love it. Pratik, very nice. Good. Pratik, you get a thumbs up. That's very creative, imaginative, and accurate. That's Pratik Shah. So, served as a meal or as a dish. Yeah. Why not, right? I mean, take that extra step. So tortoises being turned into meals, says Aldor. Very good. Okay. Separation from predators contributes to their long lifespan. So separation from predators contributes to their lifespan. What's another way to say that? Predators, maybe hunters. Okay. A predator is a hunter, not necessarily a human. It could be an animal hunter that's hunting. There's definitely another way to say separation. Let's see if anybody thinks about it. It starts with the letter I. Okay. Contributes, adds, in a simple way, to their long lifespan, to their longevity. Okay. Yeah, very good. Moria, Thug, nicely done. Okay. Isolation. Yeah. To be isolated means to be separated. Isolation from hunters adds to their longevity. Very nice. Sammy says division from hunters provides to their longevity. Yeah, that works, Sammy. Your paraphrasing, by the way, does not have to be 100% accurate. Even if your paraphrasing is not perfect, it's really good to do because it will help you to start actively thinking and actively reading about the topic. So even in your official IELTS exam, you don't have enough time to write this all down, but you should paraphrase at least a couple. Even if you feel like you're not fast enough to paraphrase all of them, as long as you paraphrase a couple of these, that will help you to be a more active reader because you're engaging your mind, okay? So it's when you're reading without engaging your mind, it's kind of like watching TV. You're being passive and you're not remembering the information, okay? And especially for this type of question, that's very, very important. So in the real exam, you don't have enough time to write this all down. So you need to do it mentally. You need to do it in your mind. Okay? Does that make sense? So even if you're not very fast, so keep this tip in mind, okay? Even if you aren't very fast at reading, you should still paraphrase a couple of the questions or statements in your reading passage so that you engage your mind. And prime it for active reading. Okay? You must read actively. Okay? You must read actively as much as possible. Okay? Active reading is not it's not like a black and white. It's not like I'm either actively reading or I'm not actively reading. It's to the extent that you're actively reading, and you want to be really active in your reading on the IELTS, okay? All right? Okay. So, no, Sabrina, I just explained that you cannot skim read, okay? First, you should not skim read the passage. It's not a good strategy. You should read the passage, and then you should skim for answers if you need to. But you should always read the passage first, okay? Especially the academic. There's no way you can comprehend the passage when it's 700-800 words just by skim reading. Okay. So here we go. Next set of questions. Complete the sentences below. Choose no more than 2 words from the passage for each answer. Write your answers in boxes 6 to 9 on your answer sheet. The causes of the tortoise's long life are biological and something. While salmon lay thousands of eggs at once, tortoises rely on their something to continue the species. Unlike the tortoise, animals such as the something have very high metabolisms. the tortoise as something protects them from attacks, thus lengthening their lives or their life. Okay? And then the last set of questions are true, false, not given. This type of question, there's absolutely no point in reading before the passage. It just doesn't make sense. Okay? I had some true, false, not given questions, I think 2 sets in my reading, and I did not read them before the passage, and I think that was a good idea not to read them before the passage because I wasn't confused about the information that wasn't given. Okay, it was very clear that the passage wasn't given or the information wasn't given. Okay, so let me shrink this a little bit because I can see that we're a little bit out of the screen here. Okay, there we go. Now it seems to be all in there. Okay, maybe a little bit more this way, like that. I'm trying to get the maximum text size fitting into the screen. Okay, all right, so here we go. Always read the passage. Practice reading quickly, okay? Work on improving your reading speed. So push to read fast and visualize, especially when the topic is a really physical topic, like talking about some kind of animal, in this case, the tortoise, okay? All right? Read with me. Okay, here we go. Tortoises are some of the longest lived creatures in nature. They can live so long that scientists have yet to fully document the lifespan of these hard-shelled reptiles. Reports, however, indicate that certain species of tortoise can live up to 200 years, far longer than the average human lifespan. The reasons tortoises live so long are evolutionary and biological, though the population of these ancient creatures is declining due to low reproduction rates and increased predation. Okay, so what am I reading about? Well, the introduction to the tortoise, an animal that lives much, much longer than humans, 200 years, and their life cycles are changing because of their production and predation. Okay, follow with me. So again, this is not listening, this is reading. I'm reading with you, so read with me nice and loud. Okay, so read aloud. It's good to hear yourself read. It's a great way to learn. Your tongue, the muscles of the mouth, they're moving. You're listening to yourself. You're visualizing, okay? All right, here we go. So nature is incredibly diverse, but the common factor among creatures is the need to reproduce. Some creatures, such as humans, have small numbers of young which are cared for diligently. Others, such as salmon, have no interaction with their offspring whatsoever. Instead, salmon rely on the sheer number of eggs they lay. They lay so many eggs that some are bound to survive to adulthood. While some animals rely on care or vast numbers of eggs, the tortoise relies on the longevity of their life. Female tortoises can produce offspring for well over a century. This is one reason tortoises live so long, so they can reproduce many times and thus continue the species. What is this paragraph about? Well, it's about the why do tortoises live so long question that we asked during our prediction, right? So they live so long so that they can have offspring for many, many years. Andre says to reproduce, right? So different animals have different strategies for effective reproduction. Humans just being really loving and attentive to their offspring. Salmon, fish having thousands and thousands and hoping some will survive, right? So, okay. Locke, no, this vocabulary shouldn't be too difficult. This is a very typical kind of passage for academic IELTS, okay? In my exam that I had a couple weeks ago, I was actually, at least 2 of the passages were more challenging as far as vocabulary than this one, okay? So this is not too bad. This is still, that's why it's reading passage 1. Okay, here we go. Let's keep going. See, reproduction, however, is not a cause of tortoises' longevity. The most fundamental cause of their longevity is their incredibly slow metabolism. A creature's metabolism is the rate at which they process food and energy. Some animals, such as the hummingbird, have very fast metabolisms in order to power their high energy existence. Conversely, tortoises have very slow metabolisms because they have very few energy expenditures. In general, creatures with slow metabolisms live longer than those with faster metabolisms. Due to its low metabolism, the tortoise can live for up to a year without food or water. When explorers were traveling the Galapagos Islands in the 18th and 19th centuries, it was common for sailors to take tortoises on board the ship as they left the islands. Since the tortoise survived so long without food or water, they were able to provide the sailors with a very long-lasting supply of fresh meat aboard the ship. Okay, so what am I reading about here? Well, I'm reading about the reason tortoises live so long because they're slow-moving beasts with slow metabolisms. In fact, it's so slow that they're a good source of fresh meat when a person's on a boat. Okay, and I'm visualizing that. I'm visualizing myself being a sailor, stuck on a sailboat for a year. I have a turtle, and that's going to provide me some food and an ability to survive. Okay, D, metabolism alone, however, does not explain the great age to which the tortoises can live. Critical to the tortoise's longevity is their hard shell, which protects them from predators. Every long-lived creature in nature has a mechanism for protection. Some animals have speed to effect a quick escape from predation. Some use intelligence to outwit predators. Some use poison against predators, and some have physical protection like the tortoise. In addition to its hard outer shell, the tortoise is also a large animal, and in general, larger animals tend to live longer than smaller animals, right? Because, of course, they tend to have slower metabolisms. So here, this paragraph is giving me further information of why the tortoise lives so long, or why it's able to live so long, because it's protected, it's got a hard shell, okay? Now, in my mind, I'm keeping a catalog of this information, okay? So first was the introduction that told me about the interesting life cycle of turtles, okay? Second was the reason that they live so long, so that they can reproduce over and over for a century. Third, it gave me the primary reason they live so long, because of their slow metabolism, and that's why they can be a good source of food for sailors. And now it's telling me about the way that it protects itself. So I'm keeping this catalog and this visual imagery in my mind, okay? And I can see that some of you are staying with me. Sandeep Yadav is making some notes. All right, so E, a final cause of tortoises' longevity is their island habitat. Animals which live on islands tend to live longer because they are kept separate from many of the most dangerous predators. Instead of developing energy inefficient methods of keeping safe from predators and thus requiring an increased metabolism, tortoises are free to allocate their energy to extending their lifespan and maintaining a very low metabolism. So one final reason here is the isolation, so being separated from predators, not really worrying about predators. Though tortoises have developed an extraordinary ability to live a long life, today this ability is threatened by a number of factors. First, and perhaps most significant, is predation by humans. In the past, tortoises and humans did not commonly coexist, but today tortoises are killed by poachers who value the tortoise's shell. Second, the contamination of tortoise habitats has put tortoise young at risk. For the first 5 years of a tortoise's life, they are prone to predators such as rats. Originally, such predators did not share the tortoise's island habitat, but through the introduction of rats and other species to the habitat, it has put the tortoise at risk. Finally, the tortoise's slow metabolism means that they are very slow and virtually incapable of adapting to these new pressures. If tortoise populations are not looked after, they will almost certainly become extinct. So here, the author concludes by telling us about the new dangers to tortoises which didn't exist in the past, primarily predators like humans and rats. Okay, so I have a catalog of this information in my mind, and if I'm doing my exam, I might just write down one word notes for each paragraph to keep this in mind. Okay, that will help. And now I can go to the questions, and I can be quite confident even if I need to check. Okay, now for matching information to paragraphs, it says you may use any letter more than once. Okay, so number one, factors that lower tortoises' life expectancy. So reasons why tortoises might not live as long as they should. What is the correct answer to number one? What's the best answer? With these matching paragraphs, you're always looking for the best answer. And Kashirsha and Lachika Moria says F is the best answer. I agree. Okay, F is the best answer, and this is exactly why you don't skim or scan, because then you have to scan or skim the entire paragraph to maybe realize that it's F. Okay. Also, just those students who think that skimming or scanning works, one other problem with this one is that some people might say that it's the paragraph about sailors eating them for food, but F is the better answer. Okay. Number two, tortoises being used as a food source. So what is the best answer for that one? Number two. Okay. Number two. Which paragraph contained that? Now, I remember that this one was the one about sailors. Okay. Prashita says the pirates one, yeah, which was C, right? Because first one was the introduction. Second one was about reproduction, so the reason for living so long. And third was the actual causality, right? So it was the pirates. So C, very good. Notice how fantastic you're all doing. Very nice. C, yeah. Okay, separation from predators contributes to their long lifespan. I remember which this one was as well. So separation from predators contributes. And I think many of you will get this now as well because we just have such nice cataloging. Prashita, Sammy, Shital, Lachika, Moria, and everybody says, hey, that's E because that was the last reason just before the conclusion. Very nice. Number 4, some animals have different methods of ensuring the species lives on. And I bet you can get this one too, number 4. So some animals have different methods of ensuring the species lives on. Which paragraph was that one? Okay, Prathamesh says that was B. Some of you are saying D. Careful with your Ds. That was B, right? So remember after the introduction, the author says that tortoises live so long because they can produce over 100 years, and they say humans they live on because they're very careful and take care of their babies, and salmon live on because they just have so many babies, right? Okay, so B is definitely the right answer here. Number 5, tortoises have difficulty adapting to new environmental pressures. What's the best answer for that one? So tortoises have difficulty adapting to new environmental pressures. Kashirsa says F. Yeah. It was F, right? That was the last paragraph again. The last paragraph said tortoises move really slowly, so they can't really adapt fast enough to their environment. They've never had to, and so if we don't take care of them, they will become extinct. So F, C, E, B, and F are the correct answers in this case. So no D, no A in this set. Okay, and that can happen. All right. Let's keep going. So these are the short answers. Write your answer in boxes 6 to 9 on your answer sheet. Okay, these ones will often come in the order of the passage. So the causes of the tortoise's long life are biological and what? Now, I remember that this was in the introduction, and I have a pretty good idea of what the answer is. I remember reading biological in the introduction, and many of you are saying evolution. Many of you are saying evolutionary. So this is where I would scan, not skim, I would just scan back in paragraph A, and I would look for the word biological, okay, or biology, biological. And so I go back a little bit, evolutionary, and the order is reversed. Notice how here it says are evolutionary and biological. And I actually saw this in the exam that I took a couple of weeks ago as well, where the question is reversed. So here you have biological and evolutionary. So they just kind of flip it. Okay, evolutionary. All right. Okay, while salmon lay thousands of eggs at once, tortoises rely on their something to continue their species. What do they rely on? Okay, no more than 2 words. So what do they rely on? Again, we know it's paragraph B. The word rely is what I'd be looking for in paragraph B. Okay, and the tortoise. Okay, so reproduction is not a cause of tortoises' longevity. The most fundamental cause of their longevity is their incredibly slow metabolism. Okay, and I remember it was kind of summing. It's the conclusion to this paragraph, right? Okay, or to that point. So, while some animals rely on care or vast number of eggs, so care, human, vast number of eggs, salmon, the tortoises or the tortoise relies on the longevity of their life. Okay, so I now know that the correct answer is longevity. Okay, so they rely on their long life for survival. Okay. All right. Unlike the tortoise, animals such as the something have very high metabolisms. I remember what the answer is for this one because I visualized that it was so clear. Okay, so many of you are going hummingbirds, and you're right. Now, especially when you realize that it's hummingbirds, I would go back and see if this is 2 words or 1 word. Humming is really easy to skim and scan for. Careful with these kinds of words because sometimes it can be 1 word. If you write 2 words, then it can be off. And here it's such as the, so I know that I have to take the S off, such as the hummingbird. Hum means to go hummingbird because their wings are moving so fast they hum. Bzzz, humming birds, okay? So hum is the sound made by their wings. And I'm going to just check here in paragraph C how to spell that word. Is it 2 words or is it 1 word? So I need to know that. And it's a nice long word, so it's really easy to scan for. Hummingbird, all 1 word, okay? Don't write 2 words, otherwise you'll get it wrong, especially because it's there in the script or in the text. Okay? All right. Number 9, the tortoise's something protects them from attacks, thus lengthening their life. I think this is a fairly easy answer. I think many of you should get this one. Okay. Sharju, Anna, agree that that should be the shell. Hopefully you're not having to look for this kind of answer, okay? If you're looking for this answer, you're going to be in trouble. It's not a shield. It's a shell. Okay, it's the shell of the tortoise. Shield is a little bit different. Shield is what we use in battle for humans. Okay, tortoise shell. Crab shell. Oyster shell. Okay. All right. Now we go to the true, false, not given. So true if the statement agrees with the author. False if the author disagrees with the statement. And not given if we don't know what the author thinks about this or if there's no information on it. Okay, so true, false, not given. First you have to figure out, is it given or is it not given? Most islands do not have predators. Okay, so here the first question that you need to ask is this important for this topic? So is it important to know whether or not most islands do not have predators? Is that important to know? No, it's not really important. We do know that the tortoise lives on some islands. Now, another question that you can ask yourself, do you think that the author will give information on all islands in the world? So I guess another way to ask this question is, do you think that a scientist or an author is going to write some kind of general blanketing statement about all islands on planet Earth? Like the tens of thousands of islands on the surface of the planet generally do not have predators. So do you think the author is going to write something like that? I mean, if you think of the Philippines, or where I'm from, Vancouver Island, and the Hawaiian Islands, and you think of all the islands, the Appalachians, etc., around the world, there's tens of thousands of islands. Do you think that the author will say islands around the world generally don't have predators? Yeah, so Magdalene de Celestia says, well, they're talking about a sweeping generalization, so no, obviously not, right? So think critically, think logically, because you will realize the answer, okay? Obviously here, the author is not going to make a statement like, most islands on the planet do not have predators, really? Not given. Okay, the author doesn't talk about it. Okay, number 11, the most significant problems facing tortoises are caused by humans. Well, talking about the lifespan of the tortoise, do you think that the author will discuss this? So number 11, do you think the author will discuss the biggest problems that face tortoises' life? Yeah, so it's definitely given. Okay. Is it true that the biggest problems that are faced by tortoises are caused by humans? Yeah, IELTS doesn't lie. Unfortunately, that is the case. So true. Okay. The introduction of rats to tortoise habitats has affected the tortoise lifespan. Again, we're dealing with the tortoise lifespan. We're dealing with a potential predator. I know that it's going to be given. I remember paragraph F talking about this. I remember saying that rats are very dangerous for tortoises that are 5 years or younger. True. Okay. So many tortoises do not live past the age of 5 because rats eat them, obviously. Okay. Number 13, tortoises must be returned to their original habitats to survive. Okay, so number 13 again. Do you think that the author is going to discuss this level of detail with the tortoise? So is it going to be given or not given? Is it necessary? Is it true? Okay. So, yeah, I can see that a lot of you are saying not given, and I agree. And I just want to show how you can realize that really quickly. So you're probably thinking, okay, it's too much detail. So it's too detailed. It's too blanket. Okay. So most islands do not have predators. It's too blanketing. Tortoises must be returned to their original habitats. It's too detailed. The other question that I would ask you here is, do you think, I know that we're not all zoologists and experts, but do you think that a tortoise has to be in its own habitat to survive? So, if this information were in the text, do you think that a tortoise would have to be returned to its Galapagos Island habitat for it to survive? Probably not. Right? It's a reptile. People keep reptiles in aquariums all the time. I'm sure you've seen tortoises at zoos. Generally not. Tortoises can actually survive in quite a few different locations. So it's not like a Siberian tiger that's emotionally, spiritually 100% connected to its environment. I'm sure they feel better at home, but they can survive in other places. So it's just an awkward piece of information or fact to include, right? Reptiles are kept as pets. They're generally quite hardy animals. They can survive in most captive environments, okay? So kind of weird, unnecessary. So true, false, not given. Step 1, always figure out if the information is going to be given. And then once you realize that it's given, then you want to figure out if it's true or false, okay? So it's a 2-step process. Does everybody get that clearly? So true, false, not given is a 2-step process. Step number 1, figure out if it's given or not given. Step number 2, figure out if it's true or false. It's a 2-step process. Prashita, thank you so much for that tortoise emoji. The class would just not have been complete without it. And that is the end of this reading passage, okay? And I'm glad that many of you got clearly how to figure out those true, false, not given questions. We do have an HD video lesson on our channel that focuses specifically on true, false, not given questions. And of course, students, you can get all of our materials, exams, strategies, videos, mobile apps with a one-time payment, very affordable, at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. So hopefully you'll invest a bit into that. And I will be back tomorrow with writing task 1 for everyone. And we will do task 2 with our members. We'll finish up. And thank you, Carolina, for moderating. Thank you, members, for your participation, and thank you everyone else for joining in today as well. It was lovely to have you all here learning with me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Adrian, signing out from Europe for now. Bye.